Welcome to Pick Up and Deliver, the podcast where I pick up my audio recorder when I head out for a walk and deliver an episode to you while I stroll around. I'm Brendan Riley. Well, good morning, listeners. It is a beautiful, if a little brisk, late or early May day. It is May 1st, May Day, I guess. We should all get out ribbons and dance around the maypole. The construction is continuing apace across the street from us. But the rate they're going, I wouldn't be surprised if they're done within 6 months. They're rocking it. So, being May 1st, it's time for the top of the stack. I don't know about you, listener, but this is my favorite episode of the month. I know it's silly because I'm just basically reading you numbers off of a sheet. But it's fun to reflect on the play that I've had, fun to check in with you about the progress I've made. I really enjoy when I hear about the progress you've been making, what games you've been playing. Have you been achieving your goals in terms of getting your lists checked off, if you're keeping lists? So anyway, this is my favorite time of the month for making episodes. It does give me to reflect a little bit on the pace I'm setting as well. As you know, last year I did basically 100 episodes, or a little shy of 100 episodes in a year. And I've decided that's going to be the aim, or the rhythm of the show, is to aim for about 100 episodes a year, which averages out to, one every 3 to 4 days, which is about the pace I keep usually. That's not right. 1 every 3 to 4 days. Yeah, I guess so. 2 a week, a little less than 2 a week. So, but I take a hiatus there from late December till late January. So it's really 100 episodes in 11 months or so. Anyway, you're all sitting on the edges of your seat because you want to find out how I did this month. So the April 2020 top of the stack. I always make a note at the beginning and a note at the end about how it goes, and I wrote, quarantine continues April 1st. Quarantine continues April 30th. Yikes. So, here we go. Final monthly stats. I played 75 plays this month of 44 different games. My year total is up to 274 plays of 115 different games. I had 2 playtests of our own games this month, the games that my design partner and I are working on, and no playtests of anyone else's games. My shelf of opportunity, this is a real achievement here. We have gone down to 39. I'm down to 39 games on my shelf of opportunity. It's been a long time since it's been below 40. I'm pretty excited about it. Made a lot of progress this month. It started at 46. So when I get to that segment, it's going to be very exciting. My collection size, however, has been going the other way. I blame this on the quarantine. I don't feel comfortable, nor do I think it's wise for me to be selling games right now, because I would have to be exchanging them with people. I guess I could be mailing them, but I don't want to put additional stress on the mailing service, and I don't want to. I'm just not going to do that during the quarantine. So I haven't been able to sell any games, and I don't count a game as leaving my collection until I sell it, or at least put it up for sale. So I have a number of games that are sitting in a sale pile, waiting to be put up for sale, but I'm going to wait until I can meet people and exchange games again. So that is a little bit of artificial inflation in terms of I'm not churning the games the way I want to, but it is what it is. Okay. Most played game this month, Gloomhaven. Holy cow, have we been glooming the haven. 12 plays this month. Yowza! Not only have I continued to play with my family a lot, 11 of those plays were with my family, but one of them was with a friend of ours, my buddy Paul. Hey Paul, I don't think he listens, but there it is. And so Paul played with us through Zoom. He had his Gloomhaven stuff on his end, and then we just added his character in. We actually house ruled a way to play 5. Basically what we did is we brought his character in, and then we raised the difficulty level 1 notch. And it was still pretty easy. We may want to raise the difficulty 1 more next time we play, but but it was fun to have him there. And then he and I had so much fun doing that, we decided that we would take one of the Gloomhaven community scenarios that Isaac put out 2 years ago, I think, and that my buddy Paul and I would play through that using Skype and actually using his setup, or using Zoom on his end. So I started a new character to use in this scenario, and then we're playing through that together. So that's pretty cool. We're playing the Into the Unknown campaign. So that's Gloomhaven, 12 plays. I've also played 3 plays of Clans of Caledonia online. My guess is through the ages I probably played 3 times as well. The thing is, the way that I calculate plays for online games, asynchronous I mean, is when I finish the game, that's when I count it. So I literally have 15 games going right now in different platforms. So any one of those could, make its way into the top there. So, top of the stack. Last month we had 4 games on the top of the stack, 3 official games and 1 bonus/repeat. The idea being that that's a game that I tried to play in a previous top of the stack and did not get completed. So I offered up as a sort of bonus for myself. And the games were the Isle of Cats, Letterpress, the Audience Choice. So as a reminder, I take the number of thumbs on the Shelf of Opportunity list, and I look, and whichever game has the most thumbs gets added to the play list as the audience choice. So the audience choice this month was Murder, She Wrote, the board game. And finally, my bonus repeat was Julchen und die Monster. We played all of these. Boom! Boom! All of them. I'm really excited about this. Isle of Cats was great. That's going to be a perennial play for a while, I think, especially if my wife gets a little bit better at it. The first couple of plays, my daughter and I both did very well. But my wife liked it, so I think that'll stay. Letterpress, I don't know. It was a word game. I thought it would be better than it was. We'll try it a couple more times, but I don't see that getting a lot of play. That might get sold on. It was only $10, so I don't feel too bad about that. The Murder, She Wrote game was okay. I mean, it has some interesting deductive elements, and I think if everybody was playing at a high level and playing quickly, it would be fun. But ultimately, it wasn't really much better than Clue. That said, I mean, it's a game made in 1985, so it's not like it has the experience of years around it to make it a better game. So it is what it is. It was fun to play it once. It's nice to not have it on my Shelf of Opportunity anymore. I mean, you have to think about when I talk about my game collection, I do have some games that I own for the novelty of owning them rather than because I want to play them, and Murder, She Wrote definitely falls into that category. So it feels weird to have it in my collection rather than, I guess it is a collection. Okay, so anyway. And then Julchen und die Monster was a sort of game where you're trying to find a card in someone else's hand, kind of like Old Maid. Only backwards, you're trying to find the card, not trying to elude the card. And so we finally got to try that out, and I was happy to get it played. A buddy of mine brought it back from Hong Kong with him, and so it was nice to try it out finally. It's been on my Shelf of Opportunity for a while. Okay, but ultimately it wasn't great. The family all kind of went meh, and so I don't see us playing that again anytime soon. All right, so I'm walking faster than the people who are in front of me here, which means I have to kind of figure out how to pass them without getting too close. I think I'm just going to turn right and go up a block so as to not undo social distancing. Okay. First plays this month. I played 12 new games this month, which was really very exciting to get this many games played. Lots of fun. The first, I've already talked about Murder, She Wrote and Isle of Cats and Paper Tales and Julchen und der Monster. But I also played Watson and Holmes, which was a interesting little detective game. You're competing with one another rather than working together, so that part's a little strange, but it was fun. Las Vegas I got to try. That was through Tabletop Simulator. It was okay. I think I talked about it in the episode. Not my favorite. Trismegistus I have really enjoyed. We played it. I sort of played half a game by myself to figure out how it worked. Then I played the game against the solo bot, and I played once with my daughter. Really good. I need to make sure we play it again a couple more times, though, because it's just complicated enough that if I don't play it half a dozen times, it's not gonna stick. And if we wait 6 months, I'm gonna have to relearn the whole thing. So, got to try Bosk on Tabletop Simulator. That one it's a game, I don't even know how to describe it. I mean, ostensibly it's about trees, but it's like sentient trees who are trying to control the forest by being planted. I don't know. It's an abstract game with a tree theme, but it doesn't really make sense. Like, I don't know. I'm curious, listener, how do you feel about abstract games with themes applied where the theme doesn't really mean anything? So, in Bosk, you're planting these trees, and then the trees shed seeds and leaves, and your goal is to it's an area control game. Reminds me a little of like something like Gunkamono, like that level of thinking, sort of secondary thinking, where you're doing something, you got to plan, you got to think about multiple scoring conditions, and you got to think about the way that your play now is going to affect the board state two segments of the game ahead. So that part is interesting. But the tree theme just, I don't understand how it's supposed to work. Like, you know, some of the things like make sense. Like there's a part where you're sort of dropping these leaves, and the leaves you're dropping are directed by the wind. So there's a kind of, like, that makes sense. But I guess for me, theme needs to be more than art. And so part of what's going on in a theme is I want to know who I am. I mean, when Richard Ham-Rado talks about teaching people a game, the first thing he said is, here's who you are. Here's what you're doing. And there's no who you are, what you're doing in Bosk. You are trees. What? So I don't know. It's strange. I liked the game fine, but the disconnect between the theme and the play obviously bothered me a bit. I've tried Valletta. I got through one game and I'm halfway through a second game with a pal of mine on Yukata. Valletta is dang it, the designer is definitely somebody I've heard before, but I can't remember his name now. It's a sort of standard Euro game from 2017 in which you are trying to develop commerce in this town. It's got, I think, Michael Menzel art, or it could be the guy who did Agricola. Oh, what's his name? Clemens Franz. It's one of those two. It's that kind of style. And it's fine. It takes me a lot longer to grok a game when I'm playing it asynchronously than I would playing it on the table or even Tabletop Simulator. So maybe that's what I should be blaming it on. The folks over at the Forgot My Dice podcast have started having Tabletop Simulator games online. That's been fun, and I really enjoyed playing Bob Ross, The Art of Chill with them. It's a set collection game, pretty simple, although not really very chilled out. It's a race game. You're trying to get these sets and paint things faster than other people, and then you get chill points. So, like, it's this weird competitive element. Again, kind of theme mismatch. It feels like a Bob Ross game should be cooperative, but it's not what it is. And then finally, on the 28th or 29th, my wife and I were talking money stuff, and we hadn't spent much money on sort of frivolous things the way that we often do because we haven't been out of the house. And so there was a little room there, so I wanted to support local business also. So I called up my local game shop and ordered a copy of The Quacks of Quedlinburg. And they have a thing now that they're doing at the store where they will deliver the game within 5 miles of the store. So then they came by and dropped it off on our porch, which was nice. I also have developed the system for opening a game in a way that minimizes the amount of time and effort I have to spend washing things, which is basically I take the game in shrink out of the box, touching only that myself, and then I have a knife and I cut the shrink and I slowly peel it back so that I'm only touching the shrink wrap. Then I have one of my family members take the box by the unwrapped part and carry it to a clean part of the house, and then I dispose of the box and the plastic wrap and then wash my hands and stuff. So that works out pretty good. So we tried that Quacks of Quedlinburg last night just before the hammer dropped on the end of April, because I really wanted to get that shelf of opportunity under 39, and if I had not played Quacks, we wouldn't have made it. Really fun game. I can totally see why people like it. I think it's going to be a really good addition to the stable of lighter games, and I suspect once we have people visiting again, that's going to be one we'll be able to get out when grandmas visit and that sort of thing, because it's delightfully random and a fun little puzzle. There's a little strategy to it, but you can always just get screwed by randomness, which for a push your luck game is kind of the fun. So Quacks of Quedlinburg, definitely a hit, at least on the first play. I am taking my sweet time. I hope you don't mind a longer episode. It's a nice day. I feel like just chatting away as I look at what's on my list here. I tried 2 new expansions this month. These are game expansions that I had purchased that we hadn't yet tried. The Wutai Mountain expansion to Matainai is really interesting. Adds more complexity, more things to think of and keep track of, more ways to just totally break the game, which I love. We tried the spring thematic neighborhood of Welcome To. I feel like I talked about that on the podcast a bit earlier, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it here. Out of the Dust plays this month, just the one. We played the Goonies cooperative game. We played it twice. One of the times we lost in a close run match, and the other time we won with huge swings. So I don't think we did anything different. It's just how lucky we got with the draws. One of the things in the Goonies game, you get these little stacks of tokens, and when you try to find the treasure at a location, you check the stack of tokens, and if it's a booby trap, then something bad happens. You have to try again. If it's the treasure, then you succeed. And in the game we lost, we kept finding like 2 booby traps before we would find the treasure. So we'd have to try each location 3 times. By contrast, in other games, the game that we won, 2 of the treasures we found immediately on the first try. And that just accelerated things a lot. So, a similar thing happened. We tried the Buffy the Vampire Slayer game again this month, which, remember, it was the top of the stack last month. And we just got totally railed by the randomness. There's this thing where you have to attack the enemies and flip over some cards. And if you draw the wrong thing, then you have to try again. And we had that happen so many times. It's unbelievable. Wow, I'm watching this roofing guy, and he is working really hard, just totally kicking butt. But he doesn't have his safety line attached to anything. Like, he's got a safety line on, which is meant to be there so if he falls off the roof, he doesn't die. And instead of tying the safety line to something, he's got it just dangling off the side of the building. What the heck? Just, come on, dude. All right, well, I hope he doesn't fall. Okay, a bit more to do, so I'm going to walk around the block because I'm almost home, and I wanted to keep talking for a bit more. Not a lot more, just a little. On our family's 20 by 5 challenge, we've made some progress. We're at 30% here at the end of April, which is a little behind the curve. April is the end of the 1/3 of the year, so 33% would be exactly on pace. Although we usually last year was weird. Last year we got a whole bunch done early, and then it slowed down a lot. The year before that, and usually we get more gaming done in the summer than during the year, so that might pick up a bit. So then we've got two things left. I got the 52 game challenge, and we got leftovers. The 52 game challenge I've been making some progress on. With the advice of a couple of people in the guild, I went back and looked again, and I've assigned some games. One of the games that I assigned significantly was the first 3 segments on the 52 game challenge are play 3 games that are linked by something, and you decide what the something is. And that was an interesting one to ponder, and I ended up deciding on to go with careful placement of weirdly shaped tiles. So since we had played Isle of Cats, that was one of the games. And then the 2 other games that I used for that example, or for that model, were Drop It and Number 9, both of which I played at LionCon back in February. So I was able to leverage some previous plays to nudge that list forward a bit. That worked out nicely. Right on to the Shelf of Opportunity log. As I said, the Shelf of Opportunity is down below 40. I'm down to 39 unplayed games. And one of the things is most of the games that are on here that are unplayed, some of them are unplayed because I just haven't had the opportunity. Most of them are unplayed because they're just a little less exciting. As a result, the Shelf of Opportunity is getting a little tighter, and it's not quite as easy for me to just pick 3 games off there that I want to play this month, for a variety of reasons. So when we get to the new top of the stack, I'll talk about the changes I'm making there. Expansions, I played 1 that we had purchased, I played 1 this month that moved us down, but I reported 2. What the heck? Wutai Mountain and the Spring Thematic Neighborhood. I think one of those was not on the expansion list, so I didn't get to take it off. Maybe that's what happened. I made no progress on my top 50 challenge. This is where I try to play all 50 of my top 50 games in the course of the 2 years between when I do my top 50. This month I did play Gloomhaven, Everdell, Motainai, and Tricarion, which are all in my top 50. But all 4 of those I had played in previous months, so it did not add any new of the top 50. But I've played 14 out of the 50 games, and I need to play 26 by the end of the year. So I'm well on my way to accomplishing that. Finally, the end of the list here is a discussion of the new top of the stack for May. So for May, I have 3 games and a bonus, and I've changed things a little bit. First, the first thing on the top of the stack list is always going to be a new game, something from my Shelf of Opportunity. In this case, I've chosen Sentinels of the Multiverse, which is a co-op game I've heard a lot of good things about. I think it's supposed to be really good, but I never had an opportunity to play. I was able to pick it up at a used sale last year for something like $6. So I know it's just the base set, but people think it's really good, so I thought, what the heck, why not try it? So Sentinels of the Multiverse, we'll give that a try. Then the audience choice, as I mentioned before, this is looking at the Shelf of Opportunity list. The audience has an opportunity of thumbing, like putting a positive thumb on games that they like. And each month when I assemble my top of the stack, the game with the most thumbs that's still on the list will get played. Now, what do I do if there's a tie? I don't recall if I said what would happen in the case of a tie when I set this up a couple months ago. So I've decided the tiebreaker is going to be how long has the game been on the list. So the older the game, the more priority I give it. Thus, the oldest game to have 4 thumbs, which is the current leading vote tally, is Tichu, which is a ladder-style trick-taking game of some renown and a little bit of ill repute. Thus, as the oldest game, that one becomes the audience choice for the month, and I'm excited to see what it's like. And then for my third top of the stack, I've decided that, because top of the stack is really meant to be like, say you have a stack of games you want to play, what do you put at the top of it? up till now, it has always been unplayed games. But I think I'm going to shift now that I'm below 40, which is still too many, but I'm below 40. I'm going to shift, and I am going to make, if I want, in a given month, if I'm interested in it, I'm going to call it a revisit. So one slot on the top of the stack is going to be a revisit of a game already in my collection that I've played before, but I haven't played in a long time, and I think deserves some more love. I'm going to say the revisit can't be a game in my top 50. I already have a thing built into my system to motivate me to play those, so I can't use that. But anything else is fair game. So this month we're going to play Kingsport Festival, which is an interesting dice game. It's a re-implementation of the game Kingsburg, but with a Cthulhu theme. I enjoyed it a fair amount when I played it the once, but we never got it back out. So I'm interested to see what that's like when I get it back out. So that's Kingsport Festival. And then my reattempt is SPQF, the multi-use card game from Grant Rodiak, which has recently been rethemed and perhaps rejiggered a little bit as the game Oath and published by Leader Games. So I believe they did a Kickstarter for that, and it'll be coming out next year sometime. That's Oath, which was previously called SPQF. I think they're different enough that they've left them in the Board Game Geek database as different games. So, that's a lot. Hopefully you enjoyed hearing me rambling about games I played recently and commenting on them. So the big question for you, dear listener, is how did your month go? Did you accomplish your top of the stack? How many games did you get played? What did you enjoy? What did you dislike? What do you think is the next big game you're going to enjoy or play or dislike or love? Pop over to Board Game Geek Guild 3269 and let me know. Send me an email if you want, Brendan@Rattlebox Games. Drop me a line on Board Game Geek. My username is Wombat929. Join me for some games over on one of the asynchronous gaming platforms, perhaps Board Game Arena, or perhaps Boîte à Jeux. No, I don't know why. Or perhaps Yukata. And I'd be happy to play something with you there. And, get out and take a walk. If the weather there is anything like the weather here, we're looking at a pretty good day. Even if we have to be careful how we enjoy it. So, thanks for taking me. I hope that your next walk is as pleasant as mine was. Bye-bye. This is episode, I think, 231. So, is that right? I've lost track. I'm not going to say the number here.
Brought to you by Rattlebox Games.